So really the path to get rich is simply a case of reducing your limited beliefs. Now, my name is Jermaine. I've had multiple six-figure agencies for the last 5 years now. I've had multiple different agencies also across this time period. And I've also had an education business across this time period. And where I come from, I did not come from money. I did not come from parents that spoon-fed me into cash cow bank accounts or to getting paid and left, right, and center different allowances or getting whatever I wanted in life. Like my parents came from humble beginnings and I come from humble beginnings, but we didn't come from a wealthy background. So I am not meant to be where I am right now. Right? I'm not meant to be in some penthouse room in the middle of Japan right now because most people in my environment back home are just simply living very simple lives, which is fine, which is completely fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the position that I found myself in today was heavily due to me being able to overcome my limiting beliefs. Why I say that is because your surroundings is a big factor on what you're going to believe moving forward. Your surroundings is what's going to affect how you perceive your business and really just how you perceive yourself in terms of going out there and making money online. Now, why I make this video is because I want to make this video to that younger bro that is watching this, or the younger sis that is watching this, that has a stack of limited beliefs surrounding them, which then is making this unable for you to go ahead and execute on your business or starting that business in the first place. Because I get it. If your family or if your friends around you all have working jobs, all have families, all have already saving for their house and aren't really entrepreneurial, aren't really doing anything outside the norm, that of course will be a limited belief in your head. Because when you go out to start your business or when you go out to try and find clients online, that is just going to affect the way you perceive yourself, which will then affect how the market perceives you. You have to be insanely delusional, especially when you first start your business. I'm going to tell you guys a story. When I first started my agency back in 2020, I was outreaching for 3 to 4 months, trying to find clients, trying to find brands to work with. And this was a paid ads agency. So now it's a very saturated market, still works incredibly well, but it was a very saturated market now. But back then it wasn't that saturated. It was kind of where the Imangadi started to peak. And I was at that point where the market started to peak and more and more agencies were popping up. I was obviously popping up and I spent 3 months trying to find my first client. 1st July 2020, I literally have it tattooed on my arm here. I've mentioned it on a previous video before. I had a breakthrough due to my insane level of delusion. And what I mean by that is I was outreaching to hundreds of brands every single day to try and win their business, to then work with us and let us help them run their ads and run their marketing. And in return, they would pay us a monthly retainer to do the service for them. And I would then outsource this to a media buyer. So that was the business model, the online business model that I had. But every single day I was outreaching non-stop, trying to find clients to run their ads for them. And I had family members that looked at me thinking, Jermaine, it's been a month now, it's been 2 months now, you're not making any money. I went for 3.5 months making $0, no money at all. But the same level of delusion that I had in my head, and thank God to my tenacity, I guess, that came from professional sports. I hate quitting, to be honest with you. Like, I would rather lose and lose and lose and eat shit than be the person that quits. And that just maybe comes from my sporting background. But I had so much adversity being faced on a day-to-day basis from the family and from friends who could see me trying to make a business happen and it just wasn't happening. And it went like that for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. Nothing was happening. I was outreaching on my brother's computer. I was taking sales calls on my brother's computer. I had no laptop, because I was just dropped out of a corporate-based agency. And it wasn't my agency. I was working for another agency, as an employee. I wouldn't even say 9 to 5 because I was working like 8 till 7, 8 a.m. to like 7 p.m. So, crazy long days. And I had an insane level of delusion. I really knew that I did not want to go back to working that full-time job. Like I really didn't. And I was delusional about this. I would even go that far to go ahead and make £1 to £2 payments on my Stripe account. So I had that motivation of me seeing a Stripe notification coming in. And even though it was myself paying that, I've never actually said this on YouTube before, but even though it was myself paying the invoice to get the £1 Stripe payment, I was mentally envisioning that Stripe payment to be £1,000, £5,000, £6,000, £8,000, right? Even though it was a £1, Stripe invoice, but when you get that invoice pop up here on your screen, right? Stripe, you've just been paid. I was paying myself £1 a couple times a week, and just to have that mental vision of money coming into my bank through online money. And lo and behold, 1st July 2020, I'm gonna put up the clip here. Again, COVID beard, mum's desktop, brother's computer. You can see me waving my first £1,000 retainer that came from a client that I signed the line. And that was my first piece of online money, my first piece of online bread. And it's kind of been a wild journey ever since then. But the limited beliefs that I had in my mind, okay, at that time before I even signed my first client, was trying to overcome adversity every single day within myself. And I'll tell you this story, and you'll see in this video, because for whatever reason, there's something slowing you down with starting your business. Something slowing you down to going at 100%. Maybe you're at like 60% right now, starting an OFM agency. Maybe you're like 40% right now, starting a paid ads agency, or whatever agency you may be starting. There's just something holding you back to go into that next level of tenacity on a daily basis. And whatever that is, you just simply need to overcome it. You need to look at yourself. You need to make a promise to yourself and a promise to your future self on exactly where you want to be. You need to know exactly where you want to be. Okay, I know exactly where I want to be in the next 10 years, financial wise. Living wise, I ain't got a clue. Relationship wise, ain't got a clue. But financially and within my businesses, I know exactly where I want to be in the next kind of 10 years, how much I want to be making on a monthly basis. And I now just have to really do the steps to make that reality. So trust me, if you're watching this as a brother or as a sister watching this, you need to really break through your limiting beliefs. And these are 3 ways on how you can do that. Number 1 is by deep visualization. Okay, deep visualization on envisioning exactly where you want to be, how much you want to be earning, and take daily steps to do that. For me, it was a Stripe thing. I would do that Stripe thing. Okay, I needed a Stripe account anyways, so when I signed clients, I was able to onboard them very quickly. But I would pay myself £1, maybe £2, a couple times a week, just to envision and visualize that being £1,000, £2,000, £3,000 coming in to the Stripe from a client that's paid me remotely. And I did those steps on a weekly basis to envision that. That was my version of visualization. Your version may be something else, okay? You need to figure out one way to help you see, do the daily process to get to that point where you can potentially get those invoices paid for your business. Number 2 is you need to be consistently doing the daily work. Every single time you do the daily work, your brain will release dopamine. Dopamine will re-incentivize you, okay, to go ahead and do the tasks that release that dopamine. So for example, when people go ahead and play games, right, they do gaming, they get a high, insane rush of dopamine, right? They get that insane rush, they get addicted, okay? They stop gaming and they want to go ahead and do that again, okay? That's called bad dopamine or cheap dopamine, okay? Porn is one, nightlife is one, so many forms of bad dopamines, right? Mindless scrolling on social media, that's a bad form of dopamine. But when you go ahead and do your daily tasks for your business, outreach, proposals, audits, sales calls, whatever it is, when you do that on a daily basis, and that compounds every single day, you are going to get a positive dopamine rush, okay? Because you just notice it, because you just feel that you've done something productive and you feel good about yourself, right? You do that on a daily basis for your business, there's no way after a prolonged period of time that you won't succeed. That's 2 forms. The 3rd form is either signing a contract to your future self on exactly what you do, or you can use ChatGPT right now and help re-engineer exactly where you want to be in the next 10 years. How you do this is, there's a viral trend that was going around on TikTok, and this is how you do it. You literally tell ChatGPT you want to be making, let's just say 100K per month in the next year. You want to make 100K a month as a marketing agency owner. Okay, you want to work with this type of clients. What can I do on a day-to-day basis to ensure I'm hitting that mark? ChatGPT will reverse engineer this, okay? You can add more prompts as well. Just literally search on viral day in the life ChatGPT prompt. You'll find it very quickly. And you will get a bullet point list from ChatGPT on, or Claude, whatever you choose to use, on exactly what you need to be doing on a daily basis to achieve that success number. Whether it's 100K a month, $1 million a month, 10 million a month, whatever it is, it will reverse engineer exactly what you need to do on a day-to-day basis to get to that point, okay? And that to me was an absolute hack. Mine, I'm not going to share my figures, but it was a certain amount of revenue figures per month with my agencies. And I told ChatGPT that, and it will then go ahead and reverse engineer this for me to go ahead and do that on a day-to-day task, on a day-to-day basis to achieve that goal. It basically just reverse engineers the process to get to C, and then it helps you get A, B, etc., right? again. So those 3 steps are basically going to help you reduce those limited beliefs that you have in your head, okay? And hopefully me sharing a bit about my story can also help you understand that, like, I've come from the middle of nothing, right? I'm from Australia, small town in Australia, and most of my family are not business owners, okay? And, you know, look where we managed to end up. Look at the views right now. I am literally in the middle of Japan, freaking, I don't know what, like 40 floors up right now. This is the view from my hotel. We're literally not meant to be here, to be real with you guys. Where I come from, we're not meant to be here. And I don't say this to flex. I say this as motivation for you guys to help you reduce and get rid of those limited beliefs so you too can go out there and crush it. Peace out, and I'll see you in the next one.